Everyone, my name's Pete. This is Beat is a Bevy meta framework, and this is the fourth full moon harvest. So I'm just going to go over the things that I've been working on the last month and just how the framework's coming along. Um, oh yeah, so this is it on crates.io. We've got, you can think of Beat as having two main sort of areas of focus at the moment. There's the control flow library, so this is like behavior trees, state machines, utility AI, that sort of stuff, and like spatial or machine learning tools on top of that. But everything's at different stages of readiness. So the base crate's pretty ready. That got published today. Had some good changes since Bevy 0.17. Things are a lot like simpler. It's sort of like a bit more like this request response model, a bit easier to reason about to see what's happening with that. So then the other part of the story is the web crates. So that's like your RSX macro, a lot of templating stuff. Things that you might expect like from like an Astro website. Slots, component scope styles, that sort of stuff. So that's what all the web crates are doing. And yeah, it's just been working on both of those the last month. So sort of had a good look at Beat Flow. I'm really wanting to focus on testing, like DOM testing. There's lots of HTML testing, making sure the templates are outputting the right static strings. But there's only so far that can go before you need the web browser to see how that's actually behaving. Once it's actually running. So we've got the first implementation of WebDriver BiDi. It's a little bit like a successor to Chrome DevTools protocol, which it doesn't have great support on all the browsers, whereas WebDriver BiDi has much of the same features, is working towards the same features, and is a web standard. So it's kind of expected to be implemented on all the web browsers. So yeah, it's just implementing that protocol. And that'll be that once we integrate that with the Suite test runner, then that's going to be a sort of like how we'll be able to make sure that the DOM's doing what we expect it to be doing without manually clicking around. Analytics. So the first steps just for like a really basic analytics, like I should show you just. It's basically just a really simple JavaScript file. It just sends off a bit of stuff about how far the user scrolled before they left, that sort of thing. It's all GDPR compliant, which means that you don't need those cookie banners. It's not about tracking users. It's really just about making sure that the website's behaving the way that you want it to behave, that you expect it to behave, and also getting feedback. For example, so if I put out this blog post, I can get some idea of how many people actually read the blog post, or if they did visit the blog post, did they scroll all the way to the bottom, or was there this bit that they all stopped at because it got boring? I don't know. So that's what the analytics can sort of help for. It also catches errors and shoots those out as well, which is handy. PDF exports. This one's a bit of fun. Let's see, but where am I? I'll show you this one. So there's a bunch of stuff where you might want to make something, like your print previews or something like that. There's things like, for example, you can have some text which says something in the browser, but then when you go to print, it might say something different. So there's all kinds of little tricks you can do that. I'll also show you with the print preview page breaks as well. So you got chapter 2, then a break, then chapter 3. But of course, in the web, you don't actually want to hard code those. So there's some things that are just like just handy for printing to PDF. I had to work on that because I had like a conference in the last couple of weeks and needed something to show people. I didn't want to jump into the old Microsoft Word. I've already got the content in the website, so might as well just print out the website. So that's why I worked on that one in the last couple of weeks. I guess that's a little bit in general. That's kind of what I'm thinking about with Beatmash is like, Beat is really working. I'm building the things that I need to build so that to build Beatmatch, which is the company I want to build, right? So it's like, so Beat is the path on the way to actually building, building applications, just like other people might want to, use the same stack to do so. And that's how I'm kind of prioritizing what to build next. I might as well talk about what I'm going to build next. So basically where I'm at now is I'm stuck with a bit of the async stuff. There's only the story of Bevy and async is a little bit difficult, and also the being able to manage what happens when, and sort of like tracking the events. I sort of need to put a few things in place before that worked. And I need that for Beatmatch at the moment. So that's what I'm working on next. So that's going to be basically using Beatflow, which is the control flow library. The idea behind that originally was for behavior trees, but I'm going to use that same library to for Beat Router. Because if you think about routes and how routes are usually structured, they look a lot like behavior trees. They behave a lot like behavior trees. You've got method filters, you've got path filters, you've got middleware and all this stuff that conditionally runs. And nested stuff that might not want to run if the parent doesn't run. It sounds a lot like a behavior tree. So I'm going to put that in, and that's going to unlock a few things. It's going to make Beat Router a lot simpler. The implementation, and when things are simpler, that's when you can find the really cool patterns. So anyway, so that's where that's at, and that'll be the next step. There's some kind of nerdy stuff, just refactoring how the templating works. I've just, after being able to see how BSN's coming along and how the templating behind BSN is going to work, sort of trying to align the RSX stuff, the RSX templating and that, so that we can share as much as possible. I mean, the dream would be to remove all of it from Beat and just use the upstream implementation. So we'll see how all that goes, but yeah, so just little bit by little bit. And yeah, that's about it. So yeah, come and say hi on the Bevy Beat Discord. If you're interested or have any questions, or if you want to give something a go, as always, like, it's very, very, very early days. You'll run into something, I'm sure, in a short amount of time. So just if you are trying stuff out, let me know on the Discord if you get stuck. See you.